and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, episode 46.
Yeehaw!
On which we'll be talking about the animated series episodes, The Time Trap, The Ambergris Element, and The Slaver Weapon. My name is Jake, and I'm joined today by...
Chris.
James. Caitlin.
I apologize that I'm going through puberty right now.
It's like that episode of the Brady Bunch.
Oh, that's the voice you're doing. I thought you were like old coot in a mining town.
I don't know what I don't know where it started to where it went, and then it became like pubescent boy.
It felt like the sheriff of Nottingham in the Robin Hood animated film at first. That guy who was in like tons of Disney films and all those westerns and stuff. It sounded like him at first, and then that's why I said yeehaw.
I get it. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. It just came out that way. But I'll talk normal for the summaries here.
Good.
So the first episode we'll be discussing today is the Time Warp. No, the Time Trap.
Let's do the time trap again.
All right. In this episode, the Enterprise is chilling out at the old Delta Triangle.
Okay, Corral.
And which is a region of space. Like, really, anytime you're doing any kind of exploration and there's a triangle involved, just stay the fuck away. It's never good. So this is a region of space where ships...
If there's three locations and they can make a triangle, no.
Yeah, stay out of those.
Add a fourth. Make a square or a rhombus.
Yes.
Ooh.
A
square is a type of rhombus, actually.
Not all squares are rhombuses, but all rhombuses are... No, the other way
Other
around.
way around.
Damn it.
Rhombi.
Rhombo.
So yeah, this is a region of space where ships just vanish. While they're hanging out there, the Klingons show up. It's our old buddy Kor.
Barely.
Yeah, doesn't... well, actually, yeah, so...
Our old buddy Duin.
Yep. So we get attacked by the Klingons, and then we fire at the Klingons. We don't do any damage, but they vanish. So we're like, shit. And then some other Klingons show up, and they're like, You hurt our friend. We're prepared to die. And then Kirk's like, I got a plan. Go to the exact spot where the Klingon ship vanished. So they do it, and then they vanish too. And they find themselves in like this graveyard of all these ships, and they find out that they're in the some place. Like, I can't read. I don't know if you said what it's called, but they're in some place.
I don't know if the place had a name.
No, they called like Elysium or
something. The council was called the Elysian Council.
It wasn't so much a different dimension as it was a, what did I say, a pocket. In space.
A pocket in the sweater that is space.
In the garment of space or something. They really did say that,
I'm glad they're putting more pockets in things, because I always need more pockets in my life.
Yeah, I like pockets.
So they got some pockets. They spy the old USS Boner vehicle.
Boner Prize?
The
Bonaventure.
The Bonaventure.
Wow.
Which is the first warp drive ship, apparently.
And vanished years ago.
Contradicting everything else we've been told about warp drive, but it's there.
What else have we been told about warp drive?
Well, Zephram Cochran in the Phoenix was the first warp drive ship.
Was that from Metamorphosis?
Yeah, and from First Contact as well.
Yeah, well, First Contact hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, but it was also talked about in the one with Zephram Cochran. Anywho, so here we are. They meet the Council of Elders that are like, this is a region of space where there's only peace, but you can't ever leave, and if you try to do anything that's not peaceful, they'll freeze you for 1,000 years. But time has no meaning, or time runs really slow here, so 1,000 years will go by like that. And then and then Kirk's like, I can't take this, so he goes to Kor, and he's like, dude, let's team up. Together, we'll get our ships out of here, and it'll all be good. So they work out this plan where they tape the ships together, and they use their warp drives together, and they can leave, and that lets them have enough power to escape. Kor's got another plan. He gets his girlfriend to plant a shrinky dink in there.
Bomb pill.
Little bomb pill in the Enterprise computer to go off when they hit warp 8, and then the psychics. There's a psychic on the council, figures it out, and calls them up and says, hey, they hit a thing, here's exactly where it is, just throw it in the garbage chute. And they do that. And they get out and they escape, and then Kor's like, what?
And that tape only lasted just long enough.
Yep. Yeah, they disconnect the ships, and that's it. They made it out. Good times had by all. All right, the Ambergris Element. The Ambergris Element. They're chilling out at this planet. It used to be a land planet. Now it's a sea planet. And
Except for where there's land.
Except for where there's land. But beside the point.
It did look inhabitable, the land.
Inhabitable?
Uninhabitable?
Uninhabitable?
Uninhabitable.
That's a word.
There you go.
So they take the old...
Uninhibited. Ooh.
The old submersible shuttle down, the Aqua Shuttle or something they called it, to the planet's surface, and they're scooting about, and then they get attacked by a giant whale snake creature. Fucks their shuttle up and sinks them. And Kirk and Spock, they go down with the ship, because that's what you do.
They fell out of the ship.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway,
they were still in the ship.
They were in the
ship.
Yeah.
Bones and Random
Red shirt
fell
number
out.
1 fell out, yeah.
So then they conduct a search, and they eventually find them, but something's wrong. They can't breathe. Oh, shit, they've been turned into fishmen, aquamen. They have gills. They can't breathe air, so we have to put them in a tank. And then they're like, well, shit, we got to figure out what happened. You've been genetically modified. So they go back to the planet. They find that there's some, sea creature, mermaid people living under the sea, but they're really skeptical, and they're like, we should not like the Naboo. They think they're so smart. They think their brain's so big.
Oh, that's better.
Nice. That's really good, actually.
He's got those extra jaws that do
I
that.
have the jowls.
The
I
jowls.
can do this. I can boss and ass the shit out of this. So they meet Boss Nass. He's kind of a dick. And then, this girl mermaid is like, "I'll help you. Let me show you where our ancient city is, and you can get the secret to turning you back into man people with legs." Well, they had legs, but they didn't.
Working lungs.
Web fingers.
Yeah. So they go there. They fire it.
Yeah.
They bring it back to the Enterprise, and McCoy's like, "Oh yeah, you need ambergris to make this shit work." Well, where'd we get that? Well, you got to go suck off one of those snake whales. So they go back, and they're like to Boss Nash. They're like, "Dude, listen, we'll get out of your hair. We just need to,
Suck off a snake.
get a little tinkle of snake monster venom." And they're like, "All right, fine, we'll help you." So they go, they jerk off the creature, they get its juice. McCoy makes the serum, sticks it in Kirk.
Wow.
Turns him back into a man walker. And then they go back to the planet. It turns out that their submerged city has now gone above the waves. And the mermaid people are like, well, our kids are going to become land people now that you've shown us that land people aren't all jerks. So, la-ti fucking da. Great. All right. The slaver weapon. So, in this episode, this is a shuttle episode where we get Spock, Sulu, and Uhura are off on a little jaunt in the shuttlecraft. They got a box with them.
They found a new toy.
It's like an ancient box from this ancient slaver civilization that used to rule the galaxy. Maybe the Iconian, I don't know. We don't really know. But anyway, they used to rule the galaxy. And these boxes they're like time capsules from this ancient civilization. Time has no meaning inside the box. And so everyone's trying to get into this box. So anyway, they're flying along and suddenly the box starts vibrating and they're like, holy shit, most of the time it's a razor, electric razor, but every now and again it's a dildo. Anyway, the box starts vibrating, and they're like, oh shit, it must be detecting another box nearby, because you can only find a box with another box. So they land on this planet, and they find out, oh, it was a trap. It's these Kazinti that are these giant cat creatures.
Of course the cats wanted a box.
They love boxes.
They're cats!
The cats catch them, and these cat monsters want them. And then we learn that the cat monsters... Really, they're only going to want to talk to Sulu because Spock is a dirty vegetarian eating on roots and leaves. Uhura's a woman.
Even worse.
Dummy, because that's basically what they say. Women are dumbos in the Kazinti culture. So really, they only want to talk to Sulu. And Spock's like, listen, if you feel them doing their psychic shit on you, just imagine eating a nice, tasty salad and they'll fuck off because they hate fucking eating salads. Anyway, they pop open that box, because the whole plan was to lure them there to steal the box. So they do that. They pop open the box, and what do they find?
Meat.
They find a piece of poisoned meat.
Yum.
A picture
of apparently the box's owner or his girlfriend. We don't know.
It was pornography.
Yeah, it was kind of naked looking.
It was a one-eyed monster.
Box has good taste.
And then they find...
That by itself is double entendre. Nothing is necessary to add. Wonderful.
And then they find this weapon. And the weapon's kind of neat because it's got a bunch of different settings. And every time you change the setting, the whole shape of the weapon changes. It's like the ultimate Swiss Army knife thing. Except all the settings are kind of dumb. Like, they don't do anything cool. Like, one of them is like a pretty pitiful phaser. And one of them is like a rocket that makes it all over the place.
Yep.
There was some other garbage in there. Not
There's
really
some sort of
useful.
energy field disruptor. That was helpful.
Yeah, that's true. There was something that like blocked energy. So I mean, it's like just like a Swiss Army knife. There's like two functions that you use often, and then the rest are just garbage. Like, do I really need?
Corkscrew.
Yeah, like really.
Those really shitty tweezers.
Yeah.
Who actually uses those really shitty tweezers?
I don't know.
The
but
Swiss
people
Army,
that
I
wanna
will have you know.
get ill.
The Swiss Army is neutral.
Yeah, as I say, they're neutral.
Yes, they have a lot of time to pluck their eyebrows.
Somehow, I don't remember really what happened, but they managed to. Spock and Sulu got the hold of the weapon from the cat people, but they took Uhura, and they're like,
Was that when Spock kicked him?
Oh yeah, Spock kicked him, busted his ribs, and then while Sulu and Spock have the weapon, they figure out that there's a special super duper secret setting that is like a fucking nuclear bomb gun.
Yeah.
So like destroys the fucking planet they're on. It's
Converts
huge.
matter into energy.
It's a total conversion weapon. And then so they somehow get captured back again and lose custody of the weapon. And the Kazindi are like, all right, well, show us how to use it. And they're like, we're not showing you shit. So they're like, okay, we'll just ask the weapon. So they ask the weapon, which talks now.
Well, I found its speak and say setting.
Oh, right. It's got a speak and say setting.
So Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah. So they pull the string and they ask it, how do we get to the super secret destructive weapon? And the thing's like,
There's a snake in my boot.
like, and the thing's like, you are not my master. And they're like, fuck you, just tell us. And the thing's like, okay, turn it to this setting. So like, okay, thanks, weapon. So then they go outside to test it out. But of course the weapon was like, I'm smarter than you. And the weapon blew itself up because he actually gave him the instructions on how to do the self-destruct. And then our heroes leave. And they're like, what happened? And
Nobody knows.
Especially Kirk, because Kirk wasn't
Kirk
here.
wasn't there. No Shatner this week. So yeah, it was a very limited cross-section of our heroes in that
It was
episode.
interesting, though. It allowed it to have a different focus, I thought, which was
Yeah,
fun. And we'll
focused
talk
on
about it in a little bit.
Cat people and guns.
First, Time Trap.
Yeah, so that one, huh? That had some shit. There's a Klingon.
A what?
Klingon.
Klingon. There are a lot of races. Pretty much all the races were here.
Including the
Kazinski.
Yeah.
the Kaczynskis.
The Meow Man.
There.
Yeah, the Meow Man.
What
There's
are
a
they
Meow
called?
Man.
Kzinti.
Yes, the Kzinti were there. We had Tellarites,
We had
an Andorian.
one of those spore things from a few episodes.
One of those
Flower
weird
boys.
thistle things, yeah.
And a Tellarite.
Orion Girl.
A really annoying psychic lady with
my
a voice
God, that
like
voice.
fingers on glass. He nails on a chalkboard.
Fingers on glass.
Engineering! I hated her. It wasn't even like that.
It was kinda like that.
It was a bad...
It was even more annoying though.
I feel like that was a bad...
Yeah,
Sorry,
were both the Orion and the psychic both Nichelle Nichols doing the voice thing?
I think so.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah, that wasn't great. Man, this show was just so fucking tedious to get through.
You know, this is painful.
Yeah, it's just like because the episodes aren't like super interesting. Like that's the problem.
I liked the idea of this episode.
The idea was really the idea of a pocket in space time where ships are just kind of stranded forever, so they've made peace with each other. I like that idea a lot. I don't know quite how time works there, and that's a little bit confusing considering however many years can pass, and then suddenly the Enterprise can appear, or the Klingon ship will appear. I don't know quite how their time works in that regard. I was also running on a weird tangent of, if time doesn't work for them really in this weird space pocket, can the women get pregnant? And would it work?
The world may never know.
Yeah, they'd probably be knocked up for like centuries.
That's unbearable.
Yeah, it sounds awful.
And then you'd be stuck with a baby forever.
Yeah.
If babies.
Oh, yeah, that's a
Stupid.
good point.
Like, do they? Because they said they don't really age.
Yeah,
Babies can't
they
even
said time
read.
passes, but very slowly. So it would just be a little poop machine for, like, eons.
What do they eat in this?
Well, they probably have replicators.
Do they?
Wouldn't you
I
think?
mean, wouldn't those run out after a while, or is they just constantly recycling the poop back into food?
Yeah, you just need matter, right?
Poop to food pipeline. That was the original name for the replicator when it was invented. And the designer was like, "Here it is, the poop to food pipeline."
Why won't anybody buy this great invention of mine?
And like, it's the original like unit that they sold was like had a toilet seat on the top.
No.
Actually, no. Wait a minute, though. Wait a minute. Right.
You haven't said anything yet.
Right.
You haven't said anything.
Wait a minute. Right.
Okay, but you haven't said anything yet.
The replicators we eventually see in TNG, right? Just make shit out of thin fucking air, it seems, right? Because it's like reconstituting.
I think it's like beaming it up.
Is that
from where?
I think it's related
The
to
sewer of the ship.
I think it's like transporter type technology involved there.
Right. I always thought they were like recombining like just random matter in the air into.
Oh, so
stuff.
Soylent Green is people in that case.
So if you fart in the air,
That's what
that's
I was getting at. I mean, it might be that there actually is poop in replicator food, as well as dead skin flakes.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. Well, because I always imagined that there was like some tanks of replicator
Goo.
Like a 3D printer.
Like a 3D printer, yeah. Like there'd be like a spool of replicator.
They have certainly
stuff.
implied, there was at least one episode of Voyager that did imply that replicators aren't bottomless. Like that there is some sort of...
Yeah, you can't create matter without matter having already kind of existed.
Yeah, and that they have some sort of matter reserved somewhere for them. It's not just a matter of having enough energy to keep the machine running. But still, maybe there's poop in there, was my
Yay!
There certainly was a lot of poop in this episode, I was just gonna say.
I was thinking about, I was talking about how the replicators work with somebody, and I brought up, you guys see the movie Snowpiercer?
Not yet, no.
It's weird. It's a weird movie.
Fuck Piercer, man.
You didn't like it?
I thought that movie was so silly.
Well, I'll spoil just a small plot element in that they learn. It might be a big plot element. I forget. They learn that all the food that makes it back to the low class cabin of the train is made out of cockroaches.
Yeah, but who the fuck gives a shit? Yeah, it's
It's
fucking,
food.
like
Yeah, I mean,
protein, and
huge-
it's like processed, and like that's supposed to be the big like, oh my god, they've been eating bugs the whole time. Yeah, but they're like converted from bug form into like protein.
Well,
bars.
that's just such like Western privilege bullshit. Like,
well, it's a Korean movie, so
insects
not
are
even
a
Western.
huge part of swaths of the world's diet anyway, without being converted into something that doesn't look like a bug.
Timon and Pumbaa rocked it.
That too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I do wonder where all their resources come from. Unless maybe because they also age super slowly, maybe their metabolism, it's just like, I had a muffin right before we got into the time warp, so I'm still digesting that.
Ooh.
I haven't been hungry in eons.
They almost never poop.
That would solve the baby issue.
It never poops.
That'd be really sad.
Oh.
If you never pooped,
Yeah, that'd be kind of a bummer.
yeah, but it wouldn't be.
I didn't mean it that way, but yeah. I don't know.
You just start calling poops bummers.
I'm gonna make a
Well,
bummer.
the problem is that I think, isn't bummer already English slang for homosexual?
I know that bumming.
I mean, you would know because you're so British.
Bumming is
both-
British slang for anal sex. I don't know if bummer is anything.
I'm pretty sure bummer
Oh,
is.
I get it.
So when you say,
Now, for all
when
we
you're
know,
like if an American walked up and said, "No, wait, this doesn't make sense. My joke wasn't going to work." It almost made sense in my
Sorry,
head.
Jake.
to anyone listening, we don't know enough about bumming and bummer to know they might be slurs, and if so, we apologize. I don't know where they fall on the spectrum of acceptable terminology in Britain. I just know they exist.
Do you think we have a lot of English listeners?
No, but we might have someone who's an American who knows and knows that we're slurring.
So we're off on a tangent. Let's get back to the time trap.
Oh, God.
Do we have to?
Anything else about England we could talk about first?
You didn't like the time trap?
I didn't
Just
like any of these
No, I'm just kidding.
episodes.
I actually didn't mind it. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I thought the idea was interesting. I got lost a lot in the Klingon versus Enterprise discussions. We also saw random reused footage of Koloth instead of the new guy.
Yeah, with Sulu doing the voice.
Yeah.
Sorry, George Takei, rather.
Yeah, I just thought, and also, like, it's already such a short episode, and I still feel like they were padding. No, not exactly. It was such a short episode, and I felt like they were trying to fit in too much stuff. Like, that whole, like, nuclear explosive bean majig seemed weird. I mean, of course, like, the Klingons were going to try to be duplicitous because they're Klingons, but, like, it just, I don't know. And the whole thing where, like, McCoy was trying to hit on one of the Klingon women and almost got in a fight, and it was just like, why is this happening?
Yeah,
I
see,
don't
that was
know, but
great.
it was adorable.
That was great, though. McCoy is like, all right,
He's a space player.
I'll try to be, you know, what's the word I want here? I'm going to try to do something kind of like
Diplomatic.
I guess I'll have to dance with this Klingon.
Oh, was that you or the cat?
No, it was me.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
I didn't mean to.
And then it just kind of all goes to shit. It's like, this is why you don't try to mean well, McCoy.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
Chekhov?
Star Trek 6.
Yeah.
Oh.
Don't hurt yourself, Walter.
Yeah, no, I just felt like nothing happened in the episode.
Yeah,
It
well,
was
that's
like,
I felt that way about all these episodes. They're just fucking boring.
That's because
shit.
they can't stand animating things.
Like,
so
how
they just
the
cut
hell-
a lot of animating of
How
things.
the hell, like...
The
I remember,
saber
like, during the
weapons.
original series, like, man, some of these episodes would be so much better if they were half hour. And now these episodes, I'm like, man, these could have been like a 30-second PSA.
Yeah. These episodes sure would be great if they'd never been made.
yeah, no, this was just like, I know. I the only bit of interest was when it looked like Kirk was trying to mac on the Orion council member. But even that, because it's more kid-oriented, that couldn't even go anywhere.
We didn't even get to see her dance.
No, we just got to see her go, and that's
Ta-da!
done. But you know what? Honestly, that's fine.
You don't like seeing the Orions do their dances?
I feel like the dances on Star Trek have always just been weird.
What color do you think the areola on the areola
Why do we talk
We've
about this
talked
so
about
much?
that before.
Oh, have we?
I think
We
they're
think it's a
probably
dark
Turquoise.
green.
I say turquoise.
I say a dark. I just say like a hunter green or like a forest
What
green.
about the bunghole? Also?
Pink.
Depends on the color of their
Probably pink.
Pink. Interesting.
Well, I assume their internals are still pink.
Why would their internals
Yeah,
still be
why
pink?
would we assume
I don't
that?
know. I mean,
Because we're all descended from the same seeding species, according to that shitty episode.
everybody's insides are
Shitty episode. That was a great episode.
pink.
You can screw
aren't they?
yourself.
I mean, like,
Well,
Oh,
what
I
makes
just know
us
Jake hates
pink? We're pink because of blood, I assume, right?
I don't fucking know.
well, so I guess if she has like, I guess it would depend on the color of the Orion's blood. But green areola for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Dark green,
Yeah.
possibly turquoise.
Tint of blue.
What are you looking at me for? I didn't start this. Chris is looking at me like I'm the one
Oh,
who
no, I
said. I
just
wonder
happened
what
to
color
be-
their areolas are.
I just happened to be looking in your direction when I shook my head in
Areola.
exasperation. Honestly, I'm even less exasperated with the conversation, just exasperated with these episodes.
Yeah.
Areoli cannoli.
Like, we have to find other shit to talk about because there's nothing to talk about these episodes.
Yeah, we've like reverted to our first couple of episodes tangenting because there's just nothing happening.
We didn't really get good at tangenting until at least a few weeks in.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we used to keep on track.
What a waste of time that was.
Yeah, this one though, like,
Speaking of on track, Snowpiercer.
Hey,
Cockroaches.
but yeah, no, this one was
Delicious.
just like, I feel like they focused in the wrong areas and what could have otherwise been.
Yeah, I feel like if we saw more of the Elysian Council and less of the
Yeah, what
let's talk
happened
to the
with that
fucking
culture
Klingons.
and-
Yeah, because they're a cool culture. I also read that a lot of the ships in the ship graveyard were unused designs from other ships in TAS.
It's not surprising.
So they were all kind of cool.
Spock was getting all handsy in this episode to
got
do
very
mini
handsy.
mind melds.
I was like, why is Spock being so chummy with everyone, throwing his arm over their shoulder?
So he
and being
was
like,
mind
hey,
melding?
guys.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
said later, he was like, I first thought he was pulling, again, a Star Trek 6 and, subtly, like, putting little, like, things on people.
No, that's foolish.
No, he was mind melding them.
Good.
By acting
I
all
called
chummy.
that shit.
Well, I guess it's more of a mind brush, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in a mind meld, can't the other party kind of sense that
The
they're
melding.
being mind melded?
Yeah, it's a lot more sort of like, there's no way to secretly mind meld
There's
someone.
no way to suck. You started to say the word suck.
I thought you were saying subtly.
There's no way to subtly suck
A green areola.
a green area.
Wow. Turquoise.
Um,
I remain adamant.
Hello, Adamant. I'm Caitlin.
Well, here's
This is
the
our
thing.
dad jokes episode.
Here's the thing. Like, what's the fucking deal with the fucking boner?
What?
The ship.
The Bonaventure?
He's asking about the ship.
The ship.
The Bonaventure.
The boner.
Bony
Yikes.
Bear.
It's the first warp ship. The boner.
Holy shit. Jake hasn't even been drinking. Jake, did you sleep last night at all?
I
Or
did a little. But like that's the thing. Like they introduce this thing. They're like, look, there's the boner ship, and it's the first warp ship, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. I want to know more about that. Nope. We don't even meet the crew or like the captain. Like the captain come over and be like, oh, you must be my great-great-grandson, because I'm Captain Bob Kirk.
Bob Tiberius Kirk.
I'm Captain Roy Kirk.
There was that one.
I might sneeze. Hang on.
Don't sneeze.
Roy Kirk.
Oh no, it's gone. The moment you admit it, it's gone. So we're good now. Sorry.
But yeah, there's that random woman on the council who, like, seemed to have sort of a weird badge. It almost had, like, the Starfleet science logo in the middle. And it's like, are you supposed to be from the... I'm more interested in all of you than the actual plot of this episode, which is a problem.
You know, they were much more interesting.
You know,
I was hoping for much from them.
They had some Gorn that were like, yeah, all right, we'll be peaceful. What does a peaceful Gorn do? Do they write poetry? What does it sound like?
That's what it sounds
Oh, you know what I read about the Gorn recently? Gorn was voiced by Ted Cassidy, who was Ruck.
No shit! That's cool.
Wow.
You
rang. I was gonna say.
Better than anything that happened in that episode.
So, are we moving on, or can we...
Yeah, let's move on to the Ambergris Element, the Let's Turn Into Fish People episode.
I didn't hate it.
It was weird. The fish people was weird.
Yeah,
you know what it reminded me of, and this is terrifying. One of those weird thrill seeker magician types decided, I'm gonna like submerge myself in a tank of water for the longest time anyone has ever been submerged in a tank of water. So his little breathing tube, he had his catheters and whatever in, so he could pee and piss as much as he wanted.
Pee and piss.
Holy shit.
Both pee and piss.
Both of them. So he's in the water. He's in the water for I want to say 6 days.
The prudiest fingers.
Dude.
That's the problem. The video that I watched of them taking him out after having been in the water for so long, his fingers get so pruned that they're just ballooned up to twice the size of a normal human hand. And the prunes are the sea fans. They're just enormous puffy things, and I'm just thinking watching this episode Kirk and Spock would turn into just overhydrated puff monsters.
Well, maybe part of the mutation
isn't it? You think
prevents that.
Well, they also weren't underwater that long.
Also, I'm sure I'm not the first person to say this, but that fucker isn't a magician. I know he likes to call himself one, but it's
who is it? Do you know who it is?
I can't think of his name, but I remember this dickhead. He kept doing stupid stunts 10 years ago. Hopefully one of them killed him or something, which is why I haven't heard from him in a while.
Holy shit.
But it's that's not
Chris Angel?
No, I have some other asshole who's hopefully dead too. But
oh my god.
Chris Angel dead?
A Star to Steer Her By's cast does not share this hope that Chris Angel is dead.
Magic. We're magic.
No, I love magic too. I don't love some dickhead getting himself locked in a box with an air tube being like, I'm a magician. No, you're a magician if you lock your ass in a watery box without an air tube and somehow aren't dead after 6 days. That's a magician.
No, because...
You're just a weirdo.
I think that's Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
I don't think
that's not magician. I think because you lock yourself in a box of water for 6 days without an air tube, you will just be... Because you do know... Chris,
but is he doing card tricks underwater at the
That's
time?
what I mean, though.
He's
Obviously,
your
Chris,
card?
Obviously.
I don't want to spoil anything for you, but just so you know, and we're all on the same page, magicians aren't actually magic.
Right.
Holy shit.
That's what I mean. Obviously, he would have secreted in either a breathing apparatus or a tube or something. But if you're just going and admitting outright, here's my fucking breathing tube, and I've got a catheter, and I've got something up my bum so that I can shit
so
all
I can
want.
pee and piss.
That's not magic.
I love you so much, Ames.
That's just a stunt. And I'm not gonna lie, it's impressive in that I think you couldn't lock me in a box for 30 seconds before I was like, get me the fuck out of here.
What is a box? He's just submerged in water. What is this box?
I thought he was in a box.
Just in a tube?
What?
You say he was just in a tube of water?
Yeah, it was in a big tube of water.
Well, either way, you couldn't submerge me in shit for
You weren't
very
doing
long.
a piece of luggage
This
or
dude
anything.
took a 6-day-long bath, and it made...
Yeah, and he's like, worship me. And it's like, no! Fuck you!
And then fix my hands, because they're gross. I wonder if they ever, bounced back, or if he had to get surgery.
Maybe that's why he had to stop
Holy
doing
shit,
things.
do you think?
Oh, I don't want to look it up.
Anywho,
I'll let you guys look it up.
the Ambergris
Listeners,
Element.
if you want to look it up, let us know. I pity you.
The Ambergris Element was a bad episode. These were all bad episodes, but this is a bad episode.
I like the part where they had to jerk off the monster.
Jerk off its tooth.
I didn't like that they killed one of the monsters.
Two of them!
That was
Two of them!
They killed the first monster in an entirely unrelated side plot.
Yep. To get the scrolls. I love, by the way, that this super advanced species still kept all their information on ancient scrolls in tubes.
Also, the Aquans, knowing this was their old, the remnants of old towns and stuff, left it all there.
Yep.
And didn't, say, the
Because it was
scrolls were
forbidden.
important, let's bring it back.
Well,
forbidden-
because if you try
knowledge.
to read those scrolls underwater, they're just going to disintegrate.
Oh, noes.
Now, one thing that annoyed me that one of you, either Kate or Ames, solved was I said, how is it they happen to have the caduceus or whatever
Oh, yeah.
as their
That
symbol
was
for
me.
medical stuff?
Caduceus.
Caduceus, thank you. And you justified it actually rather cleverly, saying maybe they had been visited by the aliens who humanity thought of as the Greek gods. And so certain
Since
symbols
they definitely
were shared.
existed.
Yep. And bopped around various planets. So I thought that was a good explanation to fix a stupid thing in this episode.
Thank you. Thank you.
I like part where they have hands.
I like that Doc did a full medical exam and didn't notice they had webbed fingers until
Doc is a shitty Doc.
sometimes.
Maybe he was too busy focusing on their ding-dongs.
He just...
Are these still okay?
Where there were
Okay,
gills,
good,
maybe.
they're fine.
You know what it is? Doc, like Caitlin, just wants them to touch dicks. So it's like, they're passed out. Pull their pants off. I'm finally making this happen.
Bones, no!
No, Bones, that's rapey and weird.
No.
Stop pooping them.
That's horrifying. I'm uncomfortable. I will never say touch dicks again.
My God, I've ruined the podcast.
Wow, I don't think we can go on.
No. This has been the final episode of A Star to Steer Her By. This
We
has
still
been
have
Chris.
another episode.
Don't blame this on me. It's because of the goddamn quality of these episodes, and you know it.
Ambergris.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing.
Ambergris.
So apparently the mutation was caused by injecting them full of whale vomit. Which, what?
Actually, it was
Whale
snake.
vomit.
It was snake venom.
No, that was how they fixed them. The snake venom was the antitoxin, ironically, to the ambergris-like chemical they'd been injected with to make them into fish monsters.
Oh, I was
Did
confused.
it come from the same sea
Yeah, I
snake?
thought it came from the same animal.
It may have,
Because
but
I feel like, I know antitoxins are often derived from the
True,
actual
true.
poison. So.
I don't know if they said where the amber...
And they did compare the sea snake to a whale.
Yeah, so it very well may have come from the same animal, but the initial mutation was caused by the puke. The not mutation was the poison.
You can make great perfume out of that.
Yes.
And apparently webbed-fingered sea humans.
Yeah. That's what happened in that episode of Futurama when Kif gave Amy the pure ambergris. Next day, webbed fingers, and Zoidberg was like, "Finally, you're hitting your next stage of development."
I don't think that was his voice.
Yeah, I fucked that up royally.
I like that the Enterprise is equipped with many aquatic vehicles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's
had
actually
They had an aqua shuttle and this little scouter
Skiff
skiff
thing.
Yeah.
Dingy.
they've actually. I noticed that in an earlier
Sailboat.
episode was that they have seemingly a bunch of different kinds of shuttles in the animated series. Because even in the next one, the kind of shuttle they're in is a new design.
Oh yeah, it is.
But you can still see, in it was the Harry Mudd episode from last week, like you can kind of see they've got these sort of sleeker shuttles, but then off to the left you can still see a more traditional
Like the Galileo
TOS
and
style, big boxy fucker. So like, I do like the idea that they're like, no, there's a bunch of different kinds of shuttles that serve different purposes. And it does help the idea, like, yeah, what does happen if they come to a planet that's mostly water, or they come across an underwater civilization? The idea they have an aqua shuttle is actually pretty cool and useful, and
It's gonna sell more toys.
ultimately something that...
Oh, that's actually a good idea.
Yeah, something that never comes up again, because I feel like in Voyager they have to specially prep a shuttle for underwater travel at one point, don't they? Am I making that up?
They gotta patch all the holes.
Yeah, but they don't have an
Why would
explicitly
there be holes
aqua
in the
shuttle.
shuttle?
Yeah, vents and shit.
Yeah, vents.
Heat sinks.
So let the space in.
I mean, that's a great thing. All their computers, you don't even have to air cool. You just space cool them, you know?
Dear
It is
God.
very cold in space,
Yeah.
says Khan.
I hated how they swam. That's
Oh, because
really
they
dumb.
didn't use their
They didn't use their
flippers,
freaking...
right?
Yeah, they have fucking webbed hands to use as paddles.
That was a quirk of the animation, though. You just know it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
There's no way they were gonna do that shit.
Yeah, they were just like, all right, we're going to represent them become fish monsters by giving them webbed fingers, but like, fuck, are we going to bother animating good swimming? Because even the
we
fish
know
monsters...
we know how we do Aquaman. This is how swimming happens.
Yeah, and that's how, I mean, the fish monsters swam the same way, which was terrible. Also, they forgot to color them in a lot.
yeah, I don't know if they forgot or if that was a stylistic
That was
choice.
supposed to be the bubbles of water passing them so quickly. It's why.
Ah,
I bet.
there we go.
Something like that. I feel like that's a thing, isn't it, in animation sometimes?
I don't know about that.
No, I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
I'm
Why
not
would
saying
there be
it's
so
good.
many
It's still
bubbles?
lazy, but
Speaking of bubbles, is it wrong that I just kind of wanted someone to have like little bubbles float up from their bottom when they were in their little fish tank?
wrong. No, immature. Yes.
Good enough.
Oh, gross. Yeah, they didn't have any catheters. How are they gonna pee and piss in
their
those
tanks,
tubes?
they could just be right into the water
Oh,
and then
also-
they filter it out.
Gross.
That bothered me. I get they can breathe underwater now. That doesn't explain how they can talk perfectly unimpeded underwater
It wasn't perfectly
now.
unimpeded.
There was a filter on it.
There was a weird
filter.
echo effect. Yes, but
Well, except when they were underwater in the underwater city where they talked perfectly normal. I feel like when they were in the ship,
Oh, it was just because of the echo of the tube. It wasn't even
Yeah.
because of them. It was just because of the
yeah,
shape
like
of the
everyone's just
structure.
talking just fine, like they're in air, and it's like, excuse me.
apparently the life support belts also work underwater.
Good to know. Good to
They're
know.
basically
I mean,
scuba suits.
It makes sense because it works in space.
Yeah.
So it's just airtight. So your computer gets fanned or whatever you guys just said. But
yeah, right.
Yeah, it does actually make sense, and you could even posit that maybe that has a little speaker built in, so Scotty being able to communicate makes sense.
But how do you use one of those belts if you have to poop?
You don't.
Just hold it, huh?
You hold till you're back on the ship. Because at least it's not like coming to back into a spaceship now, where you do have to get out of this spacesuit, which I'm sure takes for fucking ever. You just get back on the ship, run pell-mell towards the bathroom, and just turn the belt off when you get there.
I would think that you would just shit yourself because no one's going to smell it outside of the field.
Until you turn it off.
Also,
and
you're
then you're
gonna
stuck.
smell
Yeah,
it.
you're stuck smelling it.
Everybody likes to smell their... No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. That's gross.
How do you shit, Caitlin?
I don't shit, Ames. I'm a lady.
You know what else was shit? Boom.
Not that segue.
Kirk reverting back from fish person to human was it was terrifying.
I expected them to do that thing, like, in old Looney Tunes where, like, something will turn red and then blue and then purple and then plaid
Polka-dotted.
and then polka dots. I was, like, waiting for that to happen with him because I kept
he got
changing his skin
scales
color.
instead.
And a little back fin. Which makes no sense, because even the fish monsters didn't have back fins. What was he turning
Didn't
into?
they? They had something. He's turning into a porpoise.
They had big, weird sail hair.
They had stuff on their legs, too.
Yeah, but not coming out of their
Well, I don't
spines.
know. I haven't seen them naked. I guess you have. They're all...
What, the
naked,
fish?
They kind of just wore Speedos.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, no, and they, you're like, oh no, wait, it's gone too far. Oh wait, no, it hasn't. Never mind. It's like, then why put in the oh no, it's gone too far? That only padded your episode by literally about 5 seconds.
Because they wanted to show us the horror that could have awaited Captain Kirk.
Yeah. What if it were going wrong? Oh wait, it's fine. What if Spock were blind? Oh wait, he's fine. What if Kirk were dead? No, he's fine.
Yeah, it's a classic Star Trek trope.
Being shitty?
The unnecessary oh no's.
Well, I mean, again, that's the thing is surely no one was going to die in the animated series, but kids don't necessarily know that. And again, we only know that no one died in the original series because we got movies out of it. I mean, I don't know, I know that it's, maybe not a great argument, but it's the one I've got, and I just feel like, who knows? Maybe from then on, Kirk has to be underwater. He commands from a little tank that they prop up on his chair.
There's always a bigger fish.
And there's a big tribble in the tank as well.
Ugh, wet tribble.
So the fish people, they find Spock and Kirk after their dinghy was wrecked by fish, and they give them the power to breathe underwater, and then they wipe their memory and set them off somewhere.
Yeah.
They wipe their memory specifically so they'll never come back. Where else do you think they were supposed to go?
Yeah.
They're newly made fish people. They can't go back on the land. They can't go back on the Enterprise. They're stuck in the sea. You're gonna see them again, guys.
Yeah.
They just left them on the beach.
Well, it's also alright, We know that our elders despise land dwellers. Let's save these land dwellers by making them sea people.
But then
What was
alienate
the
them
logic?
and then treat them like shit.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, and
what
then
was the
continue
logic
treating them like land dwellers.
of any of this? It was just like, what the fuck is happening? But hey, they figured out how to redirect the force of earthquakes via phasers.
Yeah.
Which you think is something that would have worked out years ago if it's possible.
Well,
I mean, for Christ's sakes, they
earthquakes.
built their academy in one of the most earthquake-prone parts of
Maybe
the
they
planet
did.
Earth.
Then maybe they did fix that problem.
I think. Well, they also said they had to they specifically had to phaser an area that isn't inhabited, and I feel like if the capital city area has a problem, you don't want to just start shooting phasers out around there.
Yeah, maybe.
Yep, ambergris.
Yep.
Amber shit.
Amber shits.
The amber shits.
Amber shits of grain.
Oh my.
How patriotic.
I don't have a segue to get into the slaver weapon. Let's talk about the slaver weapon.
I like their sexy little sleek shuttle.
Speaking of patriotism, slavery. Perfect.
Oh god, so how fucking uncomfortable was everyone else before the explanation was given, but Spock was just like, they consider me and Uhura inferior. And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Are these space cats racists? Oh, they're racists and sexists. I see.
Well, that's the thing. It was interesting because it was like, well, Sulu is the obvious choice, and I was kind of like, okay, that's good. I mean, it was because he wasn't a Vulcan and he wasn't a woman.
He eats meat,
But he was also a minority, so...
But the only reason he was okay was because he's a meat eater.
a
Right.
meat-eating male. They're fine.
Yeah, so apparently this species just evolved from Twitter commenters.
Wonder what the Kazindi women are actually like.
Supposedly they are bred to be stupid.
They're just regular cats.
Meow. Meow. That's where Maress came from. No, I'm sure.
No,
She's
she
not
doesn't have
stupid.
the weird. They have weird, like, fin ears.
That could
She
be a
has
male thing they use to attract women with.
Fair.
She
fair,
could be.
Fair.
Yeah, so
But she's not nearly as dumb as one would expect.
I think it's just there's the Cindy men are like bipedal creatures with speech, and the women are just literal house cats.
But, like, bigger.
Nope.
And redder.
Nope, just they're
No,
just
please,
house
at
cats.
least bigger. I don't want to imagine
A giant.
human-sized thing having its way with a house cat makes me sad. At least let it be a big house
It's like
cat.
a Doberman fucking a Chihuahua.
Ugh.
Works for them.
What the fuck is going on with this episode?
Okay, maybe not a house cat. Maybe like a. Well, okay, yeah, like a puma.
A
But
puma
I also,
man.
the other stupid thing was it was like, Spock was like, alright, don't say or do anything, Uhura. Maybe they'll forget that human women are intelligent, unlike their women. It seemed like that is what was happening, but then all of a sudden Captain Cat is like, human women are intelligent, you fool!
That's because she broke out.
Yeah, they remembered because she did something.
That was intelligent.
Maybe, yeah. Although she didn't break out, she just got knocked out of the police
But then she
field
got the fuck up and
because
ran.
Captain Cat there used his rocket gun to
Can't keep calling him Captain Cat. It was good the first
space
time.
around the... I don't remember his name.
Chuffed captain.
I'm
He's
calling
chuffed?
I'm calling
Chuffed?
Captain Cat. That's terrible.
Chuffed captain. What was his name?
Chuffed!
Why is his name Chuffed?
Because he's a cat.
Chuffed is... Do you know what chuffed means?
No.
I don't know what chuffed means.
So, back home in jolly old England, chuffed
Boy.
means to be, like, pleased. So, like...
Oh.
Like
It's a verb?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'm chuffed... What the fuck does Hooters there say on Animal Crossing? I'm chuffed as chips?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, anyway, just being chuffed is, like...
Yeah, Chuffed Captain there knocked her out of this seemingly impenetrable field.
Yeah, how
The
the fuck?
police web.
The police web. And the psychic served no purpose in the
He
episode,
didn't.
by the way.
He was
never...
not necessary.
Who, the psychic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just there to look sad. And I
I
thought...
feel like
Eorin around.
was
Yeah.
there any information he got from them that was useful?
Nope.
Not really. So why
No,
have him?
there was that one time where...
Maybe the
During
only
the-
reason he was there was so that Spock and Uhura wouldn't be the ones conversing with him, with the rest of the cat people.
Well, but there was that time when they were, like, firing the weapon at the group of them that he was reading Sulu and being like, well, he can hear a low hum, but nothing
yeah,
else.
yeah.
So, I mean, that was kind of helpful.
But that was the extent of his... Like, you could remove him from the episode and there would be very little difference.
What I liked, as Jake pointed out, was that their little space suits had little tail sleeves on them. But you would think that would have to be like every single one of those space suits that would have to be really, really specifically tailored, because if your tail was a little bit longer, it wouldn't work out.
Yeah.
Also, it must be a bitch to get on.
Nah.
Or get off, because every time you take it off, it's just like a glove. You ever try to take a glove, the fingers go inside out sometimes.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh, yeah, that'd be tough.
And cats don't have thumbs, so getting that fixed is probably a right fucker. Especially with those claws. Damn.
They just seem to look like they just had regular hands, though. They didn't look like they had cat paws.
Oh.
It's any anthropomorphized animal. They're allowed to have hands.
Yeah. Except actually that we did, again, this was last week, but there was a close-up on Marissa's hand at one point, and she does appear to just have a paw.
Aw, bless her.
Don't know how the hell she does anything on a ship that seems designed for people with thumbs, but...
They just push buttons. She doesn't need thumbs to push buttons.
Yeah, doors open for you.
How
She doesn't need to turn any levers.
How is she going to pick up a cup of coffee?
She laps
both
it
paws.
like a cat slicking a saucer of milk.
Yeah, it's true. Her mouth's not designed for pouring. Unless you're pouring Scotty's dick into her face.
No! No,
So-
that doesn't even work.
Plus, all of her teeth are pointy. The way you were talking earlier, was there some sort of specific reason no one else was in this episode?
Kind of, maybe, yeah.
Okay.
So, let me give a little bit of background.
Thirds.
This was a episode written by Larry Niven. Niven or Niven? Niven. Larry Niven, who is a popular short story writer and other writer of things, sci-fi and stuff. So they just took his existing short story, The Soft Weapon, and turned it into a Star Trek episode by just kind of switching what characters are already in it and making them the Star Trek characters. So there were like, a man and a woman who became Sulu and Uhura, and a guy that was a little bit had special powers, so that he just became Spock.
Okay.
And there weren't any other characters really in the story. The Kzinti people were in the story, so they just kind of moved them over. They were pink again because Hal Sutherland, the director, was colorblind. So they just didn't have a Kirk, and he got special permission to not have to need the rest of the voice actors for this episode. Mm-hmm. And they said, yeah, fine, yeah, we don't need Shatner today. Go
Save
ahead.
us a few shekels.
Shatner was pissed.
No, I wonder if part of the agreement, though, was that they had to get paid as usual. You know what I mean? 'Cause
I don't know.
That's
I feel
true.
like a lot of times they pay per episode. So
Yeah, but if they had a contract, they were going to be in.
They
X
were
episodes.
infamously expensive, as we discussed earlier.
Speaking of infinitely expensive, I also learned that the Kzinti people, according to the books and according to how he wanted them portrayed in the episode, are supposed to be striped cats. But stripes are too hard to animate and would be too expensive, so they just became solid orange cats.
Except for when they would talk, and sometimes the color of their jaw would flicker as their mouth moved.
Yep.
Yeah, man, it was in the time trap where I was like, I thought I was having a stroke because one of the Klingons' mouth kept getting really blurry, and I was just like, holy shit nuts, just bad animation. But yeah, the Slaver Weapon, I liked the end. I liked when it was over. No, but I liked I really liked that they found out that the gun was, sentient, even though its fucking voice was obnoxious.
Oh my god.
But I loved the reasoning, they were like, oh, show us how to blow shit up again. And the gun's like, oh yeah, sure, twist me this way. And they do.
Hot.
And, and the Enterprise crew is like, that's not the same thing we just saw. And I just really enjoyed, the whole, if you were surrounded by baddies and last you knew you were at war and this is an alien species you don't know, what do you think you would do?
Glad they didn't use it in the room with the rest of the crew.
Well, they had been taking their safety precautions throughout. Anyways, they wouldn't have wanted to blow up their own ship.
That makes sense.
The one thing that just I couldn't deal with was the fact that the paint job on the weapon made it look like a watermelon.
It did have a kind of a watermelon-y.
Because it was various shades of green and stripes. And it was just especially when it was round a few times, it just looks like a fucking watermelon.
Except for that one time it looked like a maraca.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh god, and Sulu being able to Sherlock the fact that it was a spy weapon.
Well, he's a weapons expert. We've seen this time and again.
I'm pretty sure this is the first time he has encountered a shape-shifting weapon, though.
You don't know that. You don't know what he's got collected.
I mean, admittedly, his logic was sound, but still, it's like suddenly he's Sherlock fucking Sulu.
What other kind of fucking asshole would need this Swiss Army bullshit?
Oh my god. See, that's what I want now.
Holodeck Sherlock Sulu?
No, a little spin-off story where it turns out, in the period between the original series and the first movie, Sulu and Chekhov went off together for a little while and became detectives.
Ha!
Well, let's get an animation budget together and...
We can't afford Walter Koenig, guys.
Guys, I have a ham sandwich in my room. Yeah, go get it.
Darling, I
it's just
keep
in your
telling you,
room.
yes, put it in the damn fridge.
Yeah, well...
Been there for a year.
Listen, Walter Koenig's not picky.
Oh.
Neither are the cats. They've eaten half of it.
Oh, poor Walter Koenig. I don't mean it. Walter, if you're listening, I just want you to know that I slag you off all the time, but I think you're just aces. So, leave that in. Don't you dare take that out. Walter Koenig needs to know.
We've already got
One Chekhov to another.
We always apologize.
Yeah, we have so many apologies on Walter Koenig.
The
on
only
record.
reason people are still listening to us. If there's ever a Star to Steer Her by drinking game,
Yeah, that can be one of the things.
apologizing to Walter Koenig don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt yourself, Walter. 1, sorry, Walter. 2, you're really close to bingo. If you got that free space, now all you need is touch dicks and.
And we had that earlier this
And
episode.
what's another thing that we say?
I don't know, fisting.
Yeah, there you go. Bingo!
Any kind of, insert word here, corner.
Yep, I was just gonna say the corners are definitely. Man, now I think we need a drinking game.
We shouldn't encourage our listeners
Or
to
a bingo.
imbibe. We don't know that they're all legal.
A bingo
We'll
card
also
anyhow.
go,
Bingo, there we
we'll also go through these things so often that they'll die. They'll die of alcohol.
That's true.
If it were count how many times we say fisting, one episode they'd be just comatose.
Anyway.
Anyway.
You know what I kind of liked was the stasis box. That thing was really freaking cool.
Cool idea.
It was kind of funny because
It looked just like a box. I'm sure it could like I was hoping it would be more ornate because how do you know it's the slaver's property if it's not?
There's a big sticker on the bottom.
Yeah, property of slavers.
But
Please return to 1,000,000 years ago.
I kind of, amused by the idea that it could have just... a better episode actually would have been... Because I think, Jake, at one point you said it. They're like a time capsule. And let's be honest, time capsules usually full of fucking guff. Because whatever idiots put it together...
This is a tape of the music that was popular this year.
So it would have been funny if instead of the story we got, it's like a big fight over it, and they finally open it, and it literally is just like useless bullshit.
Well, I mean, aside from the gun, it was some rotten meat
And a picture.
and a picture. Like
That we don't even know was necessarily of the slaver race. Because they
Definitely.
ran the galaxy, so it could have been...
Definitely pornography.
I want to know more about that era. That era sounds interesting, especially because they only really know about it from finding stasis boxes.
In the really,
That's an interesting premise.
They ruled a huge swath of the galaxy. Species finally rebelled, and the war was so huge, all intelligent life was wiped out, and intelligent life had to re-evolve.
Thanks,
Thanks, Sargon. Sargon helped.
You should write that shit. I'd read that if you wrote
Snap.
There's
I'm sure there are other books about...
Yeah, but
honestly,
fuck those guys.
if Larry Niven wrote this, I'm sure most of his books even go into further detail.
Larry Niven.
Do you not like Larry Niven? I don't know what
I haven't actually
about
read any Larry Niven, but I know people who have, and apparently his writing is both popular and very not good, from what I've heard.
Is it
just
like
like Stephanie Meyer.
Is it like a Lovecraft thing where he's like a racist or
Well, apparently
what's the story?
there's a lot of sexism, I guess, in his work.
Now, given when he was writing, that's hardly a
No wonder they
surprise.
chose one of his stories to be a fucking show on this.
I think his most famous series.
Women are considered
was
inferior, of course.
Sign us up.
Series called the Ring World, which is a cool concept. It's essentially from what I haven't read it, but the setup is essentially that there's you know what a Dyson sphere is? So a Dyson sphere is where you build this giant sphere around a star, and then you build your civilization on the inside of that sphere, and the star produces enough energy to make your civilization run forever. So, but essentially, a Dyson sphere would be fucking a massive, right? It would be huge. So it's like
Could you do Dyson spheres within Dyson spheres? Oh no, that wouldn't work.
That
would
wouldn't
it?
work because
Okay.
only the first one would get sunlight.
Okay.
But with
basement.
But with the Ring World, story is essentially the same idea, except instead of a sphere, they only built a ring around the star. So save some money. And then it's like
that way you can also get out.
Yeah, and evidently, like, humans discover this place, having been built by some ancient aliens, and then they live there, and apparently it's like a series of stories about things that happen on this ring world, I guess.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's a really interesting setup.
So I'm starting to
Books are
realize
great.
the people that made the Mass Effect trilogy really like Larry Niven.
Yeah, they're...
Well, because the whole thing is like, there's repeated extinction of not all intelligent life, but all spacefaring intelligent life.
Mm.
And ancient alien megastructures being found and lived in by newer species and this and that. They're just... I'd like to almost go back and read some of his stuff now just to see if it's just these light influences or if they just blatantly rip him off or not.
Well, you should read the Ring World series. Supposedly that's the best thing he does.
I may then. Probably not, though. We know me. I don't read as much as I like to. Ames, you read them. Report back to me.
No.
And then play Mass Effect.
No.
It's a good game. You might like it.
I don't play a lot of video games because I don't have the finger strength.
Jake, you play it and make her watch.
It really just seems like you should just read the short stories. I think that would be the least time consuming.
No, I know. Just being a wise ass.
Mm.
Anything else about these
No.
cat
Let's
people
go drink.
putting out fires with gasoline?
Let's go drink.
Meow.
A lot of cats in the animated series between
Morass.
and the giant cat from the
Yep.
place last week.
Yeah,
The Shore Leaf Planet.
Shore Leaf Planet, and then these cat creatures.
Yeah.
A lot of kitties.
Yeah.
That's good.
Everybody likes, because children love cats.
Kitties are wonderful.
Cats are great.
There's one right now.
Cats are
Oh,
great, unlike this
black
episode. I was not happy this week. This week was all
No.
bad.
I mean, I think the weapon episode was probably the best of the three this week. But even
I think
that was
the worlds
sauce.
were interesting.
Yeah.
And they just don't do quite enough with them, I think.
They keep focusing on the wrong things.
Yeah, because the whole world where you have a stasis box and that's how you learn about shit, that's interesting.
Yep.
A world that lives in a pocket dimension
Yep.
is really fucking interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it just feels like it's such a letdown because it was like, think of all the things we'll be able to do now that it's an animated series, and they just...
Do the same old bullshit.
Yeah.
Just with slightly weirder aliens and nicer shuttlecraft.
And stuff that doesn't move ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's really like... TAS has mostly been a bust, and we're almost done with it, so I don't see it improving anytime soon.
No, it won't.
Well,
I'm
we'll
sure.
soon get to the films, and there's some good stuff in there.
That's true.
And also some shit.
Alright, so with that anticlimax, this has been episode 46 of A Star to Steer Her By.
Woo.
Please join us next week when we'll be looking at The Eye of the Beholder, The Jihad, oh dear,
X.
I hope
And-
it's good.
The Pirates of Orion.
Hey, you pronounced Orion right.
I had to work at it. Do please find like our Facebook page, A Star to Steer Her By. Subscribe to us with your favorite podcasting application. If you use iTunes, please consider giving us a rating and review. And we are on Twitter and Tumblr as SSHB Podcast. For A Star to Steer Her By, this has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
And this is always Jake.
Thank you very much for listening.
Be sure to tip your yeoman.
Meow.
Maybe from then on, Kirk has to be underwater. He commands from a little tank that they prop up on his chair.
There's always a bigger fish.
And there's a big tribble in the tank as well.
Ugh, wet tribble.
I don't like that in the scene where they're taking the submarine to the Naboo capital, that they pull the big fish gag twice. That always bothered me about that movie.
Took me a minute to realize that you'd actually gone on to episode 1 and just weren't referring to the fish people city as the Naboo capital.
Oh, yes.
Like, I was like, is Jake just swapping in names again? Or oh no, we're actually talking about episode 1 now.
They pull the big fish joke twice.
They did.
And it's really weird that
I
they
don't
didn't.
know.
That is hardly the
There's
worst.
a joke where they're being chased by a sea creature.
There's always a bigger fish.
And a big fish comes and eats the sea creature,
Right.
and
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson says, "There's always a bigger fish." And then a little while later, they're being chased by that fish, and another fish, a bigger fish, comes and eats the bigger fish. So there's always a bigger fish.
Did he
Does
say
he say it
there's
again?
always a bigger fish?
Or does
twice.
Obi-Wan's... Oh, you just mean the joke played out
The
twice.
joke played out twice.
So he didn't say it twice.
No.
That's
I wondered if,
fine,
like,
then.
Obi-Wan Kenobi was, like, ironically being like, yes, there's always a bigger fish.
It's a good thing he wasn't like, you're right, that's the biggest fish. Because then there would have been another one that was bigger.
It's true.
Yeah, but again,
Oh,
hardly
what a terrible movie that
hardly
was.
the worst issue with that steaming pile.
Not as bad as the second one.
No, well, nothing is that.
Not as bad as some of these episodes have been.
Yep, that's a good point.
Our podcast or the animated series?
It's always a shittier episode.